Rockwell Automation.
Forbes and CNBC-TV18 present India Inc. on the Move. A smart manufacturing summit powered by Rockwell Automation. A one-of-a-kind event featuring dynamic discussions with industry experts and the sharpest minds to tap into exclusive insights. The first session discussed smart manufacturing, driving India's growth.
Fundamentally, if you look at what is smart manufacturing means that we have to optimally use all our resources, and then at the same time we have to see it from the customer point of view, that what the customer needs are and how can we give him the best product, best service and best timeliness and best cost. Now those things have to get incorporated into the manufacturing scene. Then of course you have to start with the safety practices, you have to start with quality, and you have to start with people, you have to start with all your other operations. So basically everything. These days of course there are various tools, and the best is to have these IoTs and artificial intelligence, and that if you don't use all these new methods, you can't become smart. So I think fundamentally the need is from the customers, and it will also, as you mentioned, for export readiness. If you have to export your products, if you have to become large in the country, if we have to become $5 trillion economy, I think this smart manufacturing is very, very important.
So in pharma sector, the important thing is that how do we ensure high quality, and as a patient, as a customer, people should be assured of the right quality of the drugs. And that is where traceability of the product is extremely important. If I, as a patient, as a customer, would like to buy a costly medicine, I should know that it is authentic and there is no counterfeit there. And that is where serialization and traceability helps. But the other dimension where smart manufacturing plays a big role is the ability to have production and increase in volume based on the needs of the market, which keeps fluctuating. And with the limited resources which we would be having, how do we make that happen?
I think it's been interesting to watch the journey. Industry 4.0 has been a term used for 10 years now, and I would say the initial focus and adoption was more in countries in Europe and in North America. But the last 5 to 6 years, the key acceleration we've seen is actually centered in this part of the world, in particular India. And if you look at the World Economic Forum, they sponsor lighthouse sites. So they showcase examples of best practice manufacturing. The latest wave of lighthouse sites are all being built in India. And they're setting an example for the rest of the world into how to be more innovative, more economical, drive quality. And a lot of the global MNC companies are building their best case example in India. And I think that's epitomizes the capability in India in the engineering skills, in the digitization skills, in the information solution skills. I think the world's been benefiting from India's competence, but it's been outsourced. Now it's being used locally to drive both the multinationals and local Indian companies that next step change in smart manufacturing. So I think India is incredibly well placed because you have the right infrastructure in people that can drive that smart manufacturing innovation and step change.
After an insightful discussion, it was time for the Keynote Address, delivered by Shri Arun Goyal, Secretary, Ministry of Heavy Industries, Government of India.
The smart manufacturing may mean many things to many persons. So in common parlance, we have been saying Industry 4.0 as smart manufacturing. Now, Industry 4.0 in loose parlance is nothing but IT enabled. We have, over the last 25 years or so, established a very strong footing in IT. And on the manufacturing side, over the last 4 decades, we have reached a tipping point. We must have the best quality manufacturing in our country, which meets the best standards globally. Then, because we are a huge market, obviously the cost of production in our country would be competitive for the global market. And that's how, with the domestic demand being met, the supply will be there, where we'll be able to export at competitive prices, because you can't export if your product is not of that level. So we are nudging the industry from that angle in a positive manner on the asking of the industry. And now I'm very hopeful that these kind of gatherings, the interaction, India Inc. is actually on the move. We are for the smart manufacturing, and there is no reason why you people shall not achieve India to be advanced, developed economy by 2047.
The next panel discussion was focused on the theme of leveraging data for connected enterprise.
One big change which has happened to our industry has been, the industry always known to be a very rigid and firm plan for a quarter and firm plan for the months together and all, and then produce according to that, to a much more agile and flexible industry to work on. And based on the current availability of components or market demand, how agile you can be to really support our customers. So that has been a fundamental shift in last couple of years on the whole industry dynamics. Now, in that regard, I think digitalization has become a major platform to able to get that agility for the whole organization to be there. Now, how do you connect to your customer and get your demand inside your production shop floor? Create that transparency, create that agility. It has been a fundamental change which has happened in the industry to that. Now, in order to do that, I think you need a very strong digital program in the company to drive that change in the company, which right from the board level to the everybody on the ground work together to really build that up and all.
On the one hand, business models are changing by the month, literally. On the other hand, as consumers, we are becoming much more demanding in terms of all the auto variants, and what all gadgetry we like to see inside of that and so forth. So the consumer choices, we want everything to be personalized and all of that. We want things delivered in a very different manner, right? At the same time, upstreams in supply chain, there is a massively different level of uncertainty that exists. And these are non-trivial challenges for manufacturers. If you have to overcome all of these uncertainties and still come out on tops and still make manufacturing lead the Indian economy and become a $1 trillion sector, right? You cannot do it just by practicing manufacturing the way it was done. You got to really be utilizing the contemporary approaches that the digital technologies are affording to us, right? What are the uses of powerful new paradigms like data analytics, digital twins, digital thread? Can they give you a way to overcome some or all of these challenges?
We notice that the large part of our consumers are definitely interested. They want to have their own ways. They are more interested in sustainability and health, and they want to have customized production and customized product for them. Now, coming back to digitalization, Nestlé has embarked in a digitalization journey, and it's a journey of transformation. So that, coming to your point, we have to keep on transforming as we progress. It has to be business-led and consumer-centric. Globally, Nestlé, we talk to over 200,000 consumers a week. And we manage almost like over 500,000 feedback a month. And we have millions and millions of consumer interactions that are coming. These are a huge quantity of data that, if used properly, use the right tool, use the right data analytics, this can help us from the consumer insight point of view. It's a wealth that you cannot imagine. not only to understand the expectations of the consumers, but also maybe sometimes to exceed the expectations, detect new trend, and also think of new innovations and renovations and see where the consumer wants to go. What are the interests of the consumer?
We are an organization which has 16 manufacturing units geographically distributed all across the country and more than 50 project sites, 3 engineering centers. And there's a tremendous amount of data that gets generated that needs to be secure. For us to deliver a project on ground for which the activities start at various manufacturing units, and the activities would start probably with the engineering part, then the procurement, then the manufacturing, dispatch, finally the erection, commissioning, testing at site. The system that has been put in place over the past 10 years or so, and which has become pretty mature, there is a lot of interplay of the systems talking to each other, the applications talking to each other, and the data which flows from one point to another. Taking all of this onto cloud is, first of all, going to be a huge transaction. The transaction cost itself is tremendous. The second part is the cost that has already been subsumed in this process, and what it is going to cost, what is the advantage that is brought to us in case you migrate to a cloud.